Hi, this is Kathy Fosno, and today I'm going to show you how to make a Joseph's Coat card. This is one I made. This one I made for my son who turns 46 tomorrow. And this is just a little hello card I made while messing around. So my card base is Granny Apple Green, and that's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and then I have a piece of 5 1/4 by 4 of Mango Melody, and then I have at 3 3/4 and 5 a piece of Whisper White cardstock. Yep, that's what you use. You don't use black as it looks. Well, you don't use black, you use white. And your hands are going to get messy. As you can see, I've been messing, so just be prepared. So I've got my piece of Whisper White, and I'm going to sponge on it. And I'm going to start with a Granny Apple Green. And I'm going to just sponge different places. You want it to be pretty dark. Don't forget your corners and okay, there's one. Okay, then I'm going to do Mango Melody. Just chose some fall looking colors. I love looking at the leaves changing. In my yard I have a peach tree and an apple tree. Not an apple tree, a maple tree. And so I enjoy watching them change in the fall, but I also love when they start changing, getting green in the spring. Okay, then I'm going to do some Cajun Craze. And we're going to put some Cajun Craze, and we're going to fill in all those little white spots. Okay, so there is your pattern, and every time you do it, it's going to be a little different. Okay, now I'm going to take from the Beautiful Autumn stamp set. You want to use a stamp that has like lines, so I'm using this, I think it's an oak leaf, I'm using this pine cone, and I'm using this maple leaf. And I'm going to use Versamark. And we're going to stamp, and you're going to stamp all over your card. You want to make sure you get a full image, so stamp good. Oh, you know what I should do? I should put a pad underneath that. Hang on, let me get a pad so that we are supposed to use a pad with our photopolymer. Okay, so now it'll stamp a little bit better. Okay, and you just put the leaves wherever you think would be a good place, remembering that you have 2 more leaves. Okay, you can pick it up because it's hard to tell where you stamp. So you can pick it up and see where it's shiny so that you know where to put the next leaves. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to do on the maple leaf. So now I'm going to do this. I think it's an oak leaf. Tell me if I'm wrong. I just don't know. I'm not a good garden person, and I don't have a green thumb. I just enjoy nature very much, but I don't have any successful way of growing things. I do tomatoes every summer. My husband does it for me, I should say, and we just have such a hard time. We don't get very many. So both my grandmothers were excellent gardeners, and I did not catch the bug. Okay, and now I'm going to put a few pine cones, and I have to be really careful that I don't stamp where I've already stamped. I think that's a spot. And I think I can do something right up here. And maybe here. Okay, So that's all I'm going to do. And I forgot to put my embossing buddy on. I wish I had it because it makes for better. So next time when you get done with all your coloring and before you put the Versamark on, do the embossing buddy. But my next step is to take the Memento black ink and, oops, no, that is not the next step. Excuse me. I need my embossing powder. There it is. I found it. Okay, and I would use a piece of paper underneath so that you can have something to scoop it back into your dish. I think most of you know about embossing powder and how to keep it from getting all over. But you want this to go all over the sheet. And then flick it. Making sure you don't get on the embossing powder. You don't want to make your embossing powder go away because it's still kind of wet. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this over so that I don't get all that ink on it. And then I'm going to take my heat tool. Boy, I was trying to do the ink way too soon. I'm going to take my heat tool and I'm going to heat all these little leaves. I'm feeling very cramped. It's been very hard for me to do any crafting because I was supposed to be getting a storage shed, so everything is kind of piled in my office and in my dining room, getting ready with boxes and stuff to do to put my supplies into the shed and then make my office. I'm supposed to get a complete remodel of furniture in my office, and I'm so excited about it. It was supposed to be done by the end of summer. Well, it was supposed to be, the shed was supposed to be here in August, and then twice in September, no shows. So we canceled that order and we're having somebody else build it. And he won't be able to have it done until the end of December. So I am just cramped and not very happy, but that's okay. All right, so now I don't know if you can see, it's kind of hard, but I've got all the leaves shiny. And now this is kind of an emboss resist technique. It's just that usually you don't use black to cover everything up. I just want to make sure everything is dry. Okay. All right, so now you're going to take your Memento black ink and you're going to go over your paper as best you can. And I think the whole point of the technique is that your colors pop out. And it reminds you of Joseph's coat of many colors. All right, there's my piece. And sometimes you get some little streaks. That does happen. So go over your leaves and it'll bring them out. I'm just using a Kleenex. Some people have a special rag that they use for this kind of thing. So I'm going to go over it one more time. Just turn my ink pad the opposite way just to give it a little different texture. And yes, it gets everywhere. So, all right. See how those colors pop out where you sponged earlier. I just love this. Okay, so there's that. Now put my ink away so I don't get my elbow in it or my fingers or anything, although my fingers already look like it's in there. Okay, let's change our paper around. Love this paper from last year. I don't remember if they are still doing that or not. are going to do it again. I don't know. Okay, so now I've got from the Ornate Garden, there's a ribbon combo, and it has a piece of Cajun Craze. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to make sure all that powder's off, and I'm going to put this on. Now, one of the good things about this technique is if you have a big smear or something like this, then you can use your embellishments to cover that up if it bothers you. I'm putting on my ribbon. And that's the way I like to do my ribbon, and then I tie a bow separately. It's a little bit easier for me, and I'm just not very good at doing the bows with the ribbon in front. So I just tie my bow separately and stick it on with a glue dot. That's the best thing to do. So I'm going to make my ribbon. Thank goodness our ink doesn't really go all over when you're using it. The ink that's on my fingers I'm talking about. Okay, so now I'm going to use a glue dot in the back, and I'm going to put my ribbon on, and then trim my tails of my ribbon. Okay, so that's done. Sometimes it helps to just do a little bit of tape, or let me do a glue dot because this is kind of grainy, right underneath your ribbon to hold it down. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm just going to put it on my card base that I already made. I always like to tape a little bit over the ribbon so that it stays in place. So there is my card. Now I'm just going to use a piece of Whisper White and the Everyday Punch, or the Classic Punch. And I'm going to type or stamp from the Itty Bitty Greetings. I'm going to stamp a little hello using my memento. And that's a little messy. I'm going to turn it over. Well, I think I like the first one. I'm going to punch another one out. Just the ink on my hands is kind of showing up on this, I think, a little bit. Okay, one more time. There, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to take glue dots and attach this. And I'm finding that the glue dots are attaching better than the dimensionals right now. Okay, so there's a little hello. And then I had some embellishments sitting here somewhere. Well, I'll show you what I did. I took some retired embellishments on these and just put them around some little jewels. You can use the holiday greens, or, oh, here it is right here. This is the one I was going to use. You've got your holiday greens, so I'm just going to stick a few of those on there. It just gives a little bit more to look at. And put a couple there. Doing, of course, our uneven amount. All right, so there is my card. I did put on my original, I did put some white inside and stamped the oak leaf up the side. That's all I did. Okay, and I also wanted to show you, I decided to try doing it in Christmas colors. So I used the Christmas Gleaming and the bulbs from that. And I did a blue one, just blue shades. and then cut out a glimmer paper in the balmy blue, and then I did one in some different colors, some greens and pinks, and I cut out a piece of gold. So you can use it as long as your stamp has some kind of texture to it. It really does help. I hope you enjoyed this, and have a good rest of your day.